talks more shit about men than anything. Like, he really doesn't even talk about women that much. It's usually just like, hey, dude, you're a piece of shit. Get the fuck off your ass. Like, quit being a brokey. Exactly.
All right, well, we're recording, so we're going to start the episode out like that.
Dope. Okay.
But yeah, guys, welcome back to the Millionaire in the Making podcast. My name is Gage.
Justin.
And
Sarah.
Sorry. Yeah, we had to introduce Sarah. You want to go ahead and introduce her real quick before we kind of get into this a little deeper?
Sarah is my beautiful queen from Colorado, and I've known you for about a decade now.
Yeah, almost.
And we are honored to have her presence here right now.
Awesome.
Well, she has no idea what's about to happen.
Yeah, hopefully she's ready for what she's about to get into. But
this might be the last time like we ever see her again. She's going to walk away and be mad.
I'll just be so sick of you.
We'll see. But yeah, guys, we're going to go ahead and react to, what was it, Tate's new episode with Pearl?
Yes.
So we got a couple clips lined up. We'll go ahead and get into it. We're not going to waste any more time.
I can't wait to see her reactions.
In the sense that women don't feel like they need men in the most physical sense. Perhaps
that's
like
right.
not.
Women don't feel like they need men in a physical sense because life is soft. But it's bullshit. And it's bullshit because you still need men by proxy, one. And two, the second life gets difficult, you very quickly learn how much you need men. But women will go, I'm independent, I don't need no man because I have an OnlyFans and men pay my OnlyFans. And if anyone comes up to me, I'll call a male police officer. I don't need men. Shut up, you fucking idiot. Of course you do. Your whole life is based on fucking men. The road you're driving on was paved by a man. The house you're living in was built by a man. The car you're driving was designed by a man. Your whole life depends on men. And the second anything bad were to happen to you, the second you were physically threatened, or times were to get hard, or war were to start, or famine, or riots, the first thing you do is find a big strong man, shit yourself, and throw the feminism out the window. Feminism goes out the fucking window the second that the snow needs shoveling, or there's a fucking broken down car, or the tire needs changing. Then all that crap vanishes. It's garbage.
All right. I'm going to let her just explain how she feels on that one. Is there any truth or is there any lies to that?
There is truth in a sense, just like with anything else. I do think it depends on your overall views. But I do think that a lot of Tate's opinions and a lot of males' opinions is that women are helpless and need to be protected. And something as simple as changing a tire can be looked up on YouTube nowadays. So maybe that was true once upon a time. Like, I totally don't know how to do that, but do I think I could? Absolutely. Just a quick YouTube away. I wouldn't say, like, it's not that women don't need men. I just don't think that you actually need a man to survive. Like, and I feel like that video kind of made it seem like a woman cannot sustain by herself.
Okay, so prime example right here. Me and you are married happily for like 10 years.
Okay.
And I am just doing everything wonderfully. You don't need me, so we follow that logic. Some other guy breaks through the front door, and you say, nah, fam, I got it. You going to go handle it, or do you want me to handle it?
Oh, me and my Glock will 100% go handle it.
What if that other guy has a Glock?
Well, then what's a Glock off?
Yeah. Okay. So back to the point. Here, that sounds good in like a hypothetical world, but what really happens in a home invasion is the guy kicks the door down, you wake up and you're confused, and then all of a sudden the guy's in your bed beating the crap out of you. That's what actually happens in a home invasion. No. So what he's basically saying is, do you absolutely need a man? Majority of the times, yes. Can you change a tire? Yes. Is it more optimal for the guy to do it? Like, say the house is on fire and we have 4 kids. I'm probably going to be able to pick up 3 of them and throw them on my back. You might be able to carry 1. So can you do all 4 by yourself? Probably, maybe, possibly. Guys are just built for certain things. War, protection, provision. Can you go out and, hunt, gather food, all these other things? Probably. But it's really been just a man's job for, since the beginning of time for a reason.
100%. I think the clip may have been taken a little bit out of context by the guy that clipped it up after the actual podcast. And he might have juiced it a little more to make it seem like Tate was shitting on women in that, but I don't think he was. I think he was just saying, like, obviously women are self-sufficient. Obviously they can do stuff like you said and look it up on YouTube. But at the same time, there are tasks that women maybe shouldn't be doing, the men should be handling, so women can do something else that's maybe more important, like raising the kids, doing something inside the house that's going to be a lot more beneficial in the long run versus fighting a fucking intruder.
My biggest argument to that has always just been like with the whole like men and women are equal 50-50 kind of thing. It's like, no, it's not really like a percentage thing. It's like, okay, somebody breaks into the house, I'll go breastfeed the kids and you fight the intruder. That just sounds ridiculous if I say something like that.
There genuinely is, whether we like to say it or not, there's things that women should be doing and men should be doing. And obviously women can do some of the things men can do. Men can do some of the things women can do, but there's just differences there.
You
There
can't
just
compare.
is.
Like we operate on two different planes. Like you should not be comparing men and women. It doesn't say one's better, one's worse. We just have two different roles in life.
I also feel like that said women and not mothers. Now, if a house was burning down, I obviously can't carry all 4 kids. But if I was a single woman and my house was burning down, yeah, I can carry myself outside. That's fine.
Yeah, there's probably some context in that clip that we didn't grab, but
That
for the most
editing.
part, I think it's a very agreeable clip.
Yeah.
It may have been a little juiced and made you feel a little bit off by watching it, but I agree.
I would love to see, men just disappear for about a year off the face of the earth and then come back and see
what society's
how
like.
the power grid's standing up, how the roads are handling, how everything's running. Because, like, that's something that, was built by men. He was right.
Yep.
I mean, you go out the streets that you drive on, the buildings that you are living in have been predominantly built by men.
Yeah.
Now, if that changes one day, like, dope, cool, more power to you. It's just a lot of people don't realize that the world was built by men, but a woman brought the man into the earth. So, like, it's not like one's better or worse.
Yeah, it's
just,
totally give and take. There's both sides are definitely needed. Let's go ahead and hop into the next clip. See what we got. Maybe this one's a little better for you. Well,
All the things we previously understood about what made a good man, what made a good woman, and how we should act together and how we should interact has been erased. Of course men are acting like dickheads, and of course women are doing wrong things, because nothing makes sense anymore. It should be very simple. I'm a man, I work hard, I take care of my woman. I'm the man of the house, she treats me with respect, she would never insult me or raise her voice to me in front of other people. She's a problem, she brings it to me in private. We act as a team, work together. If we break up, she was a good woman to me. She fulfilled her roles the best she possibly could. I'm still a man, I'm gonna take care of her. But all of that is gone. And it's gone because of all the ideas we were discussing earlier. The feminism, the new age bullshit, the fucking dudes left and right and center. All these baseline things have eroded society to the point where now you have men ignoring their paternal instinct. You have men who will sit there and go, that's my child, but I fuck her. That's actually a massive observation to make about how fucked up society is. And it shouldn't be that way.
Ooh, that's deep.
what do you think?
I would agree with that to an extent. I feel like toxic behavior in social media has almost been applauded, which
100% agree.
deeply disturbs me in a lot of ways. And I think that Lindsay had kind of touched on male validation a couple podcasts ago. And I agree with that. I think that it's becoming a little too common for you to just go run to a man to feel validated instead of looking within and doing your own self-improvement and kind of running away from a relationship instead of working on it.
I like that.
Good answer. I like that.
I don't think there's much to disagree with on that clip. Like, I think if anybody thinks logically with their mind, like, they know the direction society is going at the moment is very wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, everything he
100%.
said, men are 100%. Men and women are ignoring their biological.
Yeah, it's not just
roles.
one gender. Both genders are kind of fucked at the moment.
No, I mean, you have, whether it's right or wrong, I think it's wrong. Men that are ingrained to act like a woman and women that are ingrained to act like a man. And it's just like, that's a level of resistance mentally that you might be able to do that for a while, but it just is not going to be your highest and best path more than likely.
100%. It's crazy to think that this is why he's blowing up, because he's the only one talking about it. Like, there's a handful of people that actually talk about that and bring that up and have the balls to say that in the public light. That's why he's as big as he is.
Hey, it also concerns you because this is the reason why he got banned, was for stuff like this.
Yeah.
So they tried to take him off the internet, and he's one of the first people that got just completely wiped off the face of this earth on the internet, and it didn't work.
Yeah, it is.
He
a lot
didn't have
to
any
think
social
in.
media accounts. He had almost like a cult-like following of 200,000+ people in his database that kept reposting his videos. Other people that weren't even in his database, teenage boys were just reposting everything. Middle-aged men were reposting his videos. Nobody would let his ideals and concepts die.
Dude, I think this is something we can ask the viewers. Guys, drop a comment down below as to why you think mainstream media is silencing masculinity. Like, I think that's a great question to ask you guys and see what your take is on that. We can address this in a later episode, but go ahead, comment down below why you think mainstream media is just silencing, putting the cap on masculinity as a whole. All right, let's move on.
Do you think that hoes can never be turned into housewives?
Okay, I'll answer that question. Once women hit a certain status of man, I don't think women are stupid. I actually argue the fact that women have a beautiful intuition. Women, to a degree, their intuition is truly almost psychic. The number of times I've come home and she's like, "You were cheating." And I was like, "How the fuck did she know I'm fucking cheating?" And it's real. You guys are smart. And if they get to a certain echelon of man, they're not going to go anywhere because there's nowhere else to go. They're going to get to a guy eventually. They're going to stop at the buck and go, "You know what? Where am I going to surpass this specimen? So I'm just going to behave for him." So you can turn a hoe into a housewife that way.
You're going first every time.
Oh my goodness.
We're putting the pressure on you.
Oh my goodness. Obviously you can, because I have seen it happen. I mean, my Instagram has been blowing up with all these engagement rings of girls that I never would have thought anyone would have the audacity to marry. But you know what? Sometimes you can move away and settle down and no one knows you there. So you meet someone that doesn't know anything about you or what you did.
That scares the shit out of me.
Yep.
That's so scary to
They
think
don't know
that
your
you could
past.
move to a new town and pick up a girl and she could have the craziest past and you would never know.
Yeah,
That's scary.
No, she obviously didn't choose to share it, but yeah, I mean, I feel like eventually, don't know what that's like, but I feel like eventually you reach a point where you're like, maybe I do want to settle down and have a family, and then some guy is there willing to give you that. You know, there's a lot of people out there, so I mean, there's a match for everyone. Like literally, the one girl that I thought would never, ever, ever get married got married like a year ago. So I mean, anything's possible.
So first off, shout out to Pearl. She's a queen. She's doing amazing work. Pearl is the lady that was in the clip. Okay, so can you turn a 304 into a housewife? Yeah, you 100% can, but why would you? First off,
I think it depends on your level of status as well. Like some guys can own, that's the level that's their pecking order. Like that's all they can get at the time.
yeah, okay, that's a good point because a lot of the lower value guys have no other choice but to settle for a girl that is a 304.
So maybe for her story, that dude was a low value dude. That's all he could get. Maybe he's just like, fuck it, got it figured out with her.
I mean, he was most definitely already balding.
Poor guy.
Poor guy. So I anything's possible in this world. Wifing up a 304. The queen of the 304s, Kim Kardashian, got wifed up by Kanye West. That's a flex. I don't know how that one happened. But look what happened in the results. One of the most dominant men on this earth got wrecked wifing up a 304. If you don't know what a 304 is, Google it. Most people are going to know.
I just got it through context clues, but I've never heard that before until I saw that video.
Yeah.
But you know that girl that's in the video as well? I think her name's Brittany. She's like the top of the top 304s, I guess, at the moment.
She's one of the trending ones.
But I mean,
she didn't argue that whole. She was okay. Perfect example. A girl will revert to her natural feminine role mindset when she's put next to a high value guy. If you watch her on every other podcast, she's just running her mouth loud, chest out, like almost acting like a guy. She didn't raise her voice once in that podcast. Every time Tate spoke, she just sat back and listened and absorbed everything that he said. And it was almost like you could tell the level of respect that she was giving him. And she does that with almost nobody else.
Yeah, it was a very interesting podcast. I definitely would say you guys go watch it. Aside from after you finish this video, watch the clips. But go back and watch the whole thing. There's a lot of good stuff in there. It was pretty eye-opening to see like how, because what did they have? An elderly lady, and then they had two total chicks from total different sides of the spectrum all going. It was like they built the perfect panel on that podcast. So
Pearl's smart. She knows what she's doing.
Shout out Pearl. You want to move on?
Yeah.
Any other? You want to touch on that?
I cannot. I was a little taken off guard when he admitted he would be out cheating.
Yeah, I think that clip's coming up.
Okay. Let's touch on this too. He mentioned something about a girl's spirituality. I think that's absolutely 100% accurate. Men aren't the best when it comes to spirit, like spiritual senses, spiritual intelligence. Women are just on a whole nother level for it. Like, you know, I think the most important job of a woman is to protect a man's spirit and lift the spirit up. And the most important role for a man is to make sure the woman can walk the earth unharmed and protected and provided for. That's actually an old Cherokee proverb. Yeah, and women are very powerful when it comes to just being spiritual. Like, there'd be days where I'm just wrecked, and one of my female friends says, "Hey, you okay? You need to take a break."
Yeah, they just know. It's pretty
like,
crazy.
Before I even open my mouth, I'll walk through the door, and one of my friends will just say, "You need to go take like a 5-minute breather." I'll just be like, I just literally walk through the door, and they can just feel the presence.
Feel the energy. We feel the energy.
Yeah.
Hey, To each their own. I guess they got something going we don't.
I get dudes email me, how do I get my woman to submit? Bro, you're a fucking dork. Why would she reply to you? Why would she submit to you? That's the truth. There's natural balance in the universe. When you meet a G, if she didn't feel like she wanted to listen to me, we would have never got to where we want to get. It just doesn't work. That shit only happens when the female's fucking giving up sex too easy and the dude's just picking up easy pussy and they end up in some bullshit relationship. They don't even like each other. That's dumb shit. But if you're a dude at home and you're watching this and you go, I want my woman to submit, and she doesn't, guess what? She doesn't respect you. And guess whose fault that is a lot of the time? Your fault. It is your fault as a man.
Yes.
It is.
Yes.
No, it is.
Yes.
No.
That's what you guys need to damn here. Tell him.
But it's not about blaming men and women because everyone has a problem. But then there's also men who are worthy of respect who women refuse to respect
True.
because of society.
Tell the sisters too.
there's two sides to it, right? But a lot of it is if you're a capable enough man and you're brilliant enough, then the female has no choice.
Dude, I love that because, like, whether you want to believe it or not, 99% of men aren't shit. They really aren't. Like, that's the whole reason we started this podcast in general, was like to motivate men and inspire them to become better and become the best version of themselves. Like, everything Tate is saying is 100% true. Most men aren't shit, so why would any woman respect you in the first place?
Yeah. If whatever happens in life, it's your fault. Your girl cheats on you, it's your fault. You can't pay the bills, it's your fault. Everything in life as a man, it is your fault. So he's 100% right. If your girl is not acting right, it's something you're doing, or it's something that you're not doing.
And another thing, keyword man. I think a lot of men aren't taking ownership, and that's something that you have to do in order to be. I mean, if you're a fucking man, you have to take ownership for everything in your life, right? Just like you're saying, she cheats, this. It's all on you. So in order to become a man, take ownership, look in the mirror, and figure out, am I worth a shit or not? And if you aren't, do what you got to do to fix that. That's my take.
You should be seeking out self-improvement every single day, becoming the highest and best version of yourself. And if you keep doing that, what girl in her right mind would want to cheat on?
Yeah,
first
100%.
Who's she going to go to? And if she goes to some like guy that's a lower value, well, then you just didn't pick a high-quality girl, and you picked a girl that's just dumb.
And for the homies out there that are struggling with looks, when you're low value and playing at that playing field, all most guys have at that time is looks. But as you kind of raise up all other sides of just build yourself up in all other areas, looks don't come into play as much. I mean, would you agree?
Yeah, I would say like that goes both ways, right? So if you are looking at a woman and you only like her for her looks, like she's going to get old. So you definitely want to tap into the personality, whether you're a male or a female, because at the end of the day, you're going to get old. All you're going to be left with is your personality.
That's truth. That's the truth. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of young guys shack up with these hot, pretty girls, and they're just duds. And then they're like, 30, 35, they're like, what the hell? I married a fucking plank.
Yeah.
I mean, to break it down into like easy math, look at a girl's spirit and then look at a man's ability to gather resources. Most men that are having women problems, they are crap at gathering resources. And what that means is gathering money. Right now, what money is just the ability to purchase resources. That's why everybody's hoarding money. It's just the ability to acquire more resources. So your girl might not be arguing with you as much if you're taking care of your stuff, taking care of her. She's probably going to start arguing with you when you can't pay the light bill.
100%.
Well, that's definitely a source. It's not like all your problems with women are going to be solved by money, but you definitely don't want finances to even touch because life is hard enough, even with all your bills paid. So you want to make sure that base is covered. But I also agreed with him when he talked about, respect and submitting. Like, I'm not a submissive girl, but like if you earn my respect, that's like a different thing. You naturally like start to care more about someone and kind of like put your defenses down when someone earns your respect. You cannot like walk in somewhere and expect any girl to respect you. Respect is something that's earned. It's not just like given.
You have to command respect as a man.
I mean, that's the truth, dude. I learned that firsthand. My girl that I'm with right now, same way. She would not give me anything.
Yeah.
It took like 6 months of like me showing her who the hell I really was, and it slowly started to she started to, I guess, go back into her feminine role. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was one thing in my mind. I was like, why is she acting like this? Mm-hmm. And it was really just proving
you might not have deserved it yet.
I probably didn't. I was a little shithead, just doing whatever the hell I was doing, and then it took 12 months for her to really figure it out and me to figure it out, and then it, just like you're saying, it took time.
Let's touch on that. Submission is not a bad thing. Like a man has to submit to his woman every day. Like people think submissiveness is just a female term. Like no, men have to submit every day to their boss, to their friends. Like when your girl asks you to do something, most men say, "Okay, I'll get it taken care of." That's you submitting to her. So it's not just a one-way street for being submissive.
Yep, great point. Great point. I think a lot of people take that and run with it the wrong way, but what you're saying is definitely something to put in your mind.
Look at the military. It's just an organization of men submitting to somebody higher than them.
Mm-hmm.
Like men just are naturally submissive in a different way, just biologically. Like just biologically, look at how the military is set up. It's just one man says something, and he commands an entire army of people under him to do what he says, pretty much.
Facts. Anything else? You want to move
Let's
on?
get the next one.
When you were at your peak value, you had zero interest in monogamy. But then you find a man who's 35 at his peak value. He's finally struggled and worked because when he was 19, no girl spoke to him. When he was 23, he was broke. When he was 24, he had no life experience. When he was 25, he couldn't fuck. He finally gets to the point where he's now at his peak value. Him at 35 is you when you were 19. And then you're sitting there saying to him, no, you should be monogamous. It's like, well, you fucking weren't. You did whatever you wanted in your peak, and I had to work for my shit. God and L'Oreal gave you. I had to fucking struggle. I had to go through hell to get on this yacht.
Dude, that might be his best clip yet. I don't
know,
think he's ever worded anything that good.
That was precise, and this has been our past month touching on male versus female peak years. That's actually why I'm blowing up on TikTok right now, is for that exact same clip.
Yeah, we did a podcast with the other girls, but what do you think about that? Because we looked at a graph, we basically brought it up, Justin sent it out to the group, and it was saying that females came up on the rise at like 16. Men were still, so say females are like at a 7 at 16, men were like at a 2. And then females rose, what was it, 23 was the peak year of a female?
I'll explain this one. So at 16 years old, the women on the chart were labeled as a 5 as far as attractiveness goes. That means they're halfway to their peak. A man at 16 was a 1. Okay, so the women got their peak. It came really, really fast, hits at 23 on average, and then it starts going downhill until they're about 30 is when it just drops. The man doesn't even get to start his ascension until like 27, and then he peaks at like 37, and then it's a slow, gradual decrease until he pretty much dies. And that's just a further point of men's attractiveness is based on how much resources they can gather, and a woman's is her youth and her beauty, pretty much. Like, men really don't care how much money you make. Like, honestly, it doesn't matter. And women, looks do play a part, but there's a reason why there's some rich guy with 30, 40 models on his boat at 60 years old.
Yeah, 100%. What do you think about that? Because the other girls were kind of rubbed the wrong way. Maybe because they were a little bit older and technically by the chart they were on their decline. What do you think?
Yeah.
23 is not a solid number. Like, the number can move left and right. It's just a general, you take 100 women, it's probably going to be accurate. You take 100 men, that's probably going to be accurate. And I would argue, nowadays with money being so hard to acquire, 37 might not even be the peak. It might be 42, 43.
Yeah, you never know.
Mm-hmm. So with that, I would say when we're talking about that with men, we're only talking about 1%ers, right?
No,
this was all men.
Well, I can tell you a 35-year-old man that doesn't really do anything with his life or have any resources at all, like hasn't been able to afford a house, hasn't, just kind of going nowhere fast in life. Like, he's not going to be
attractive
at a peak.
Yeah, but he's going to be at his personal peak, though.
Maybe his personal peak, but a peak to no one else but himself. Because for women, what we see when we see an older guy that hasn't really done with anything with their lives, that's a huge turnoff. That's worse than being 16 years old.
Yeah.
That is worse. Like, you have had all this time to really build a career for yourself, and you've literally done nothing.
I agree.
Take advice.
I really do agree with that.
No, 100% she's right. So my argument to that subject, which she's right, was most women get to enjoy their peak because it's just naturally God-given. And like he said, L'Oreal and God gave them their peak. 80+% of men don't even get to enjoy their peak because they just didn't put the work in to do it. That's why the man's peak is so later in life, because he has to build his resources.
100%.
And like he said, a girl, now you have Instagram filters, put an Instagram filter on a guy, it really doesn't do much.
Yep.
Like, it really, most people just don't care.
I think regardless of what way you spin that topic, if you give people enough evidence and details, they'll kind of all be like, yeah, it does make sense.
Yeah. And people get offended when you say the peak year is 23, but your peak years could be from 21 to 25.
Yeah, give it a range.
Slow decline after that. But
Yeah.
it's just a lot of girls are focused on their careers and they give up their peak years in order to attract the quality of guy that they want. And when they hit 30 to 35, what they don't realize that they did was just become the guy that they wanted and dreamed of all along.
Yeah,
and now the guy who's
wanted.
35 at his peak is looking at the girls that are 25 who are in their peak years. You know, that's what, if you're at your peak, they need to be at their peak just to make things work, and there's no resistance.
Yeah.
Statistically. You know,
So
it's case by case basis.
I think it's all relative, and it just depends on what you consider a peak. But I think that whenever women are ready to settle down, there's always like that. There's no need to have a scarcity mindset, because some guys have been working on their career for so long at that point that they're ready to settle down, and you're right in their age gap. You know, they don't want to like bring in someone that hasn't really done anything with their lives too. I've met tons of successful people that are actually like interested in who I am because I don't sit around and do nothing, you know, like because I work on my career and whatnot. And I don't know. I mean, it just depends on what you consider to be your peak, because I don't know about you guys, but I feel like I'm peaking every year.
Yeah, that's what
Every year
That's what the
feels
other.
like the
That's what the
peak.
other girl said. But
That's what almost every girl that's been on every podcast with us mentioned that. They're like, even the 40-year-olds,
Things are just getting
50-year-olds.
better.
Yes, but you also have to realize that I know you personally. You're in the gym every day. You take care of yourself. You can delay that peak.
Yeah.
That peak might be later in life.
I am not a good person to tell they're in their peak, because I'm
Yes.
like, I'm just getting heated
this
up
is-
in the gym.
yeah.
Like, let's go. There's Botox now. Like, yeah.
I mean, yeah, the graph hits everybody in their own little way. Like, you may feel some way about it. I'm fucking hyped. I got a long way to go.
Yeah.
In terms of that. So.
I mean, the good thing about being a guy is you can expedite your peak years by just acquiring resources faster.
Oh yeah,
Exactly.
I mean, imagine having the resources of the average 35-year-old on that chart at age 25. Your peak's 10 times higher than everybody else.
Oh,
on the
yeah.
list.
The average
yeah.
27-year-old, I looked it up the other day, they have a net worth of $7,500.
Damn.
And I was disgusted. I was like, oh, God, that's horrible. How do you do that?
Dude, when you see those numbers, it really does put in perspective how bad people are with money in the United States. of
No,
America.
Yes.
we surround ourselves with nothing but good people. We've kind of gotten away from that. But like looking back at it now, when I was like 18, I was like, dude, I'm broke. My friends are broke. Everybody was broke. This is bad. Like being a guy, it's not easy. Like,
No, it's not. And I salute you guys, because there's a way heavier weight on y'all's shoulder than us.
I mean, it's scary to think. It's scary to think that there's like no financial literacy in this world. Like no one's actually teaching it. So I was gonna, move
Like,
this on.
subscribe,
Yeah,
and
like, comment, subscribe
comment.
to Million in the Make, and follow us.
we're the ones who'll do that for you.
Yeah, we'll hook you up. But yeah, guys, we're gonna move on to the next one so we can keep this one short and sweet to help the YouTube algorithm push us a little harder. Appreciate it, YouTube.
There's zero advantage to marriage in the Western world for a man, because this new idea of new age feminism just basically destroys all men in the event of her leaving. If a woman marries a man and it goes wrong, she has emotional heartbreak, fine. If a man marries a woman and it goes wrong, he has emotional heartbreak. Plus, everything he has ever worked for is ripped out from underneath him, and he has to give that chick money forever. So when you make these rules and these laws, right, under the guise of feminism and equality, all this garbage, all you're doing is scaring men away from commitment. And then you have to add in the other hidden element, and the other hidden element is what I said earlier, is whose fault a lot of this is promiscuous women, right? If women were saying, if all women got together and said, we'll only have sex after marriage, guess what men would do? Get married. But you don't, right? So now you're in Miami, I can fuck anything in the club, I don't have to marry any of them. If I marry them, I get wrecked. So let's all use our brains here. What am I gonna do?
Ooh, let me hop on that one.
Let me give context before you go into it.
Okay.
So
either
he's
one.
saying that because the Britney girl, she didn't marry. She had a kid with an NBA player. She kind of like shacked up with him, had the kid. Now he has to pay her alimony or whatever it is. Like basically 90% of what he made. Like I think he makes like $300K a month. He has to pay out like $200K a month to her every single month.
So let me hop on this one. So he's absolutely right. And if you look back at the origins of marriage in the Bible, it says the moment you have sex with a girl, you're pretty much married in God's eyes. Okay. And 100 years ago, women were only sleeping with people that would put a ring around their finger. So if a guy wants sex, which is every guy's just natural urge, he has to court a girl, meet the family has to approve, and then they get married after however long. The guy has to wait 3 years, and as a guy, that's a long time. And then he gets the chance to marry her, and then he is, he's put a lot into this. The girl feels safe. The girl has saved herself for him. He feels safe because, before birth control was a thing, before paternity test, every religion, everything in the past, marriage was linked to paternity. Whose kid is that? So if a girl was a virgin, the man felt safe that it was his kid. We don't have that nowadays. We just have paternity test, birth control. So now it's like, what is the incentive to get married for a guy? Legally and financially. Take love out of the equation. It's a business deal per the government.
I mean, to be honest, what is it? What's the upside? What upside is there besides making your partner happy?
See, every guy dreams of like getting married, having one girl down for him. But every guy's nightmare is he marries a girl and then he has a kid with her. She goes to divorce him. She takes half. He has to pay child support. And now he's paying alimony. And some other dude comes in the picture. And
typically there's a null and void with a dude in the picture, by the way. If they get married.
I think it depends on the state.
No, they have to get remarried.
Well,
alimony goes until they get remarried, or it's half the marriage. It's horrible.
Or they're living together.
I mean, to be totally honest, what is the upside of marriage at this point in time? Like, is there tax benefits? Like, why is there?
It's not that much.
So it's only for estate planning. So for your kid. So if you have kids, if you're married, it makes like probate 10 times easier.
Okay.
But let me ask this. She's, we have a good perspective here. What do you think the benefit for men is for marriage in 2022 in the United States of America?
So that's a really hard question because it depends on the marriage. Like, for example, I mean, I know, like, in the West, right, I've seen women walk out on the men, which is insane to me.
Nice.
So I think it depends on the marriage. For me, I think it's nice to have, like, a partner and a little bit of a cheerleader because men are big babies behind closed doors.
Pretty accurate.
And they do need that free therapy because they would never in their right minds admit that they need help and go to a therapist. So kind of just being there to, I don't know, give you support and love, I
hear
guess.
you. I mean, I hear you and I understand what you're saying, but why do you need to have to marry them? Why can't we just be, boyfriend, girlfriend?
Is that a privilege that is only locked down to marriage? Is her protecting your spirit and being your cheerleader?
No, but I think that if you want to have kids in a healthy way with someone, then you do need to get married. And that's
Absolutely right.
On both ends, it needs to be harder to get out of it.
I do
legally.
Agree. I do agree.
100%. But I'm still waiting to hear what is the benefit for men in 2022 that would really say, oh, damn, that makes me just absolutely want to do it. And, I'm just paraphrasing here. But, I mean, there aren't a lot of, like, you take the benefits versus the risks, and it is not an equal playing field.
Well, I mean, the ultimate benefit of it back in the day, I mean, premarital sex ruined that, right? Because the ultimate benefit, most chicks were like, nope, not till we get married, not till we get married. And then nowadays, it's just getting thrown out left and right by every single girl. Not every single girl, but by most women, it's just getting thrown out left and right in this society. But
it's hard.
It used to be premarital sex. That was why men married women and the paternity thing.
Paternity.
Yeah.
Now it's just like, okay, dope. I'd sign half my life away and she can leave at any time. And, not every girl's evil. Not every girl's going to do that to you. There are wonderful, beautiful women that will protect your spirit out there. But this needs to be a real thing in the back of some guy's head out there. Do I really want to and need to get married to this girl? Pick your quality of woman wisely because you're stuck for life. So if she's not protecting your spirit before you get married, then good luck.
Dude, it plays in. She touched on this earlier, I think a few clips ago. She was talking about society pushing stuff like that. I mean, all you hear in rap songs these days is these female rappers saying, get with him, take his money. Just every single song, that's all they're pushing. That's just like the new agenda to females, I guess.
It is.
And it's absolutely horrible. And no men are going to want to marry any women in the future if you keep pushing that bullshit.
The marriage rates are dropping. Yeah, I mean, I've always been a firm believer in marriage, but I mean, me and my business sense, my logical sense.
Your prenup.
What's stopping me? I don't even need a prenup. Why don't I go down to Mexico? Why don't I go to Dubai? Why don't I go somewhere else and have a real wedding under God, and I have a real marriage over there, and then just come back to the United States and I have no legal problems.
Well,
I have a real marriage.
There's a lot of people that say when you get married, you marry the United States as well. You marry the government, essentially.
Yeah, no, you are. It's you, her, government.
I mean, I'm not too well versed on what they can get into, but I'm sure there's some stuff in there that benefits them as well.
The ideal scenario is just you and one girl have a wonderful, happy marriage. Nobody cheats. Nobody
In a perfect
underperforms.
world.
And you guys just don't get divorced. That's the ideal scenario that everyone dreams of.
I don't think I would ever get married if there was even the slightest bit of question in my brain if anything were to go south, because I know like marriages get super toxic. You put your kids through the worst thing ever. Staying together in a toxic relationship without cheating even puts your kids through the worst thing ever. So I don't quite know what the benefits of a marriage is, but I think you would know, like,
I agree.
whether or not it's worth taking that risk.
Yeah.
You'll find that person.
I hear you. My girl the other day said, we've been together for like 1.5 years, 2 years. The other day, she's like, by 6 months, you're supposed to know if you want to marry somebody. I almost like fell out of my chair, passed out.
That's
That is horrible. What are you talking about?
I will 100%.
That's
I will
TikTok.
attest.
That's
no,
TikTok.
no. I will attest to that. A man knows if he's going to want to marry you. I would arguably say less than 6 months.
You think so?
Yeah, 100%.
I think you can know there's like an inkling that you may want to be with her for longer, but I still think you have to be looking at every single thing for the next few years until you know.
Well, a guy knows if he wants a long-term relationship with a girl or a short-term. So if it's long-term, obviously it's marriage. If it's short-term, it's you're in the bedroom, you're not outside any other aspect of my life. So I would 100% agree with that and say within 6 months, a guy knows if he's going to want to put a ring around your finger.
Like if she's potentially material, then you still have to vet her up until that point.
100%. My rule is 3 years. If we're not engaged after 3 years, we're not doing what I thought we were doing. And then for the women out there, if that man has been in a relationship with you for like 5, 6, 7, 8 years and you don't have a ring around your finger, you are settling and getting played.
Yeah. That's another thing like that I don't understand is, you asked what are the benefits of marriage. I'm like, well, you get me. Because if there's no ring after a long period of time, then I'm walking. Like, that's the end of that.
You should.
Fair enough. 100%. You want to see? I don't know if we have any more. Let's see. Oh, no, that's it. That's all we got.
Okay. Well,
all right.
So let's get your opinion, because I know you have seen probably Andrew Tate for a very long time. After seeing these clips, which is realistically like, this is pretty much the Andrew Tate that we all see because we've been digesting his content for a very long time. We get to see the back end stuff. Now the agenda isn't to put him in a bad light, and you get to see everything that he does. You get to see the good clips, the bad clips, the medium clips. These are the things that you would never see 6 months ago. But this is what he was talking on every single day: protecting, providing. As a man, be on your shit. As a girl, just don't be a 304. Pretty easy.
Define 304.
304. Flip that upside down, and that's what you're going to get. Just turn your head upside down on the screen.
Calculator games.
So, can you describe to us what your opinion on Andrew Tate is right now after watching all of that?
I didn't really know a lot about Andrew Tate until EDC, when Emma started bringing him up, and then you guys started kind of posting him more. So I kind of started checking out his stuff, which is literally the best marketing ever, is when people are just talking about you. Good publicity, bad publicity, whatever, it's all publicity. I think he's a very outspoken man, and I don't know how to professionally say this, but he definitely has BDE, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
No, you could. He's the top. His nickname's the Top G.
Yeah, he just knows how to articulate things in the perfect way to piss you off just enough to like him.
He's he's a genius. Like his IQ is way ahead of the average person's.
I mean, put him up against any other public speaker, he's gonna shit on him. Besides maybe Jordan Peterson.
No, he's the top. He's the final boss.
Yeah.
But I mean, no. Andrew Tate was a professional chess championship player at like the age of like 8 years old, and his dad was like. His dad was well-versed and spoke 6+ different languages, worked for the CIA. Like, everyone in his family is just, like, genetic freaks, mentally and physically.
Yeah, I think he is really unapologetic about his deliveries, which a lot of people can't handle. They don't like the harsh truth. They kind of wish they'd dance around a little bit more and be a little softer about it. And I'm not saying his delivery is correct, but what he's saying is pretty valuable, as a get in check, because I feel like a lot of people who are under earners like just label any woman that wants a guy that can support her as a gold digger. Mm-hmm. We've gotten into that because people have normalized under earning. So now every woman who wants support is a gold digger. And Andrew Tate's basically saying, F that. That's not, I mean, you guys should just maybe stop under earning.
That's a good perspective.
I've never looked at it.
No, she just red pilled us right now. That is a good perspective where, you know, as a man, you know, everybody tells you, no, don't be masculine, toxic masculinity. And my biggest argument has always been, there's no such thing as toxic masculinity. It's just the absence of masculinity is toxic. Like, you know, like you said, you know, if somebody, you know, busts through your door, you're going to call a big, strong man to protect you, usually. If your house burns down, you're going to call a big, strong firefighter. You're not going to call you're not going to call the small firefighter who believes in safe spaces and all this other stuff. But a girl that's asking for support and protection and provision is now labeled a gold digger.
Always.
And it's like, no, that's just your natural role. I mean,
like
not to be a gold digger.
win.
You're not just using a guy for his money. It's just like, you know, if you submit to the right guy, trust him, his natural instinct is going to be to protect and provide for you. So if you offer any resistance to that, you're just making his life harder. Let him pay for the dinner. Let him pay the bills in the house. Don't give him any like resistance to that. Let him do his job as a man. Don't emasculate him. Okay. Let your guy hold the door open for you. Guys love doing that. Guys, if you're not doing that, get on that. Free game. Just let everyone play their role. You know, 100% agree. She just red pilled us. I'm so
She really
impressed.
did. Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, basically what you just said would have been labeled toxic masculinity before Tate and all these other people
That's
came
toxic
along.
femininity when you're just telling a girl she's a gold digger for just trusting her man.
I mean, everything's toxic until somebody stands up for it, right? Like the past few years, all that has been pushed is it's toxic this, toxic that. And now somebody's standing up and they don't fucking like it. They don't.
The narrative's changing, though.
It is. He's doing a good job of starting to twist.
It is starting to twist.
Flip it over.
You know, Piers Morgan, all these other people are just, they're pushing Tate now. When was the last time you would have ever thought that Piers Morgan would be pushing Andrew Tate?
I don't know. I think it backfired and they just, they didn't know what else to do. So might as well team up with him, I guess. Or might as well, his army's so big, let's just join him. It's kind of one of those things.
Yeah. And I feel like most people that are agreeing with him are on that track already. And the people that have a problem with it have no plans. And they think it's like just fine to make their women work super hard. And I have no problem with women working. I love working personally. But like basic needs, like I should have the option to work. I shouldn't, if I'm going to get married to someone, like it shouldn't have to be like I have to work to keep the bills on.
100%. So, you know, she hits the, you know, 100% accurate with what she just said. Men don't want their wives having to work 60-something plus hours a week.
They don't. It almost emasculates a man to have a woman who has to go out there and work her fucking ass off.
It makes him feel like crap because he's not doing his job.
I hope it does.
If you're a real man, it should emasculate you to know that your woman's out there working every single day, all hours, and she can't come home, take care of the kids, take care of you, do shit that a woman should do, other than, you know, spending her time in a fucking factory all day.
Yeah,
No,
I mean,
100%.
I went into, it's been very eye-opening working where I work because I went into someone's house the other day and they didn't have heat in their home and they had a 30-something-year-old furnace. I'm like, you're probably going to want to like replace this. And she's like, I'm sorry, I'm the only one who works. My husband doesn't work and I'm putting my kid through college and I'm only a caregiver. And I'm like, geez, lady, that's heavy.
Yeah, but I mean, that's
Leave that man.
both sides of the story right there. Never settle. I mean, men and women, you shouldn't settle for less than you deserve.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else you want to touch on? I think we should round this out. Keep it short and sweet. We kind of rounded that out. All right. Well, do you want to shout out your social medias real quick so we can have that? We'll throw that at the beginning for you.
Oh, yeah. I'm at Sarah_serotonin, 2 N's.
All right.
Underscore.
You guys know me and Justin. We'll link her down below as well in case you can't spell that. And then, yeah, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. We'll catch you guys in the next one.
All right, Jim.